All right, guys, so we are in here now. The customer is still moving in a little bit, but the movie room is set up, it is functional, it sounds and it looks great. So check this out.
What's up, Dream Media family? This is Zach. Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're out here in Nashville, Tennessee, doing a home theater install for you guys. We're gonna cover all the intricate details of this beautiful home theater that I'm standing in now from start to finish.
Alrighty, thanks, Zach. The customer first reached out to us. We were really looking for a way to maximize the audio quality. The overall performance is important to the customer, video and audio, but the overall experience is what really matters to us. We want to deliver you the very best experience for your budget. So with that in mind, we went with a Focal 1000 series speaker, and I felt confident giving him that recommendation because that's what I currently have used in my own home for many years. The sound is superb. Focal is a French company, very well-known speaker manufacturer, and everything is made over in France. But the Focal 1000 series, that is their flagship in-wall or architectural line. So that is what we're gonna be outfitting in this room today out here in Nashville, is going to be the Focal 1000 series in-wall and in-ceiling speakers. So I know Zach touched on it previously before, but for the front three speakers, your left, your right, and your center channel are going to be utilizing the Focal 1000 IW-LCR6. That's gonna have two 6.5-inch woofers out of their W cone construction that is featured in their Sopra line and their box speakers or loudspeakers as well. And it's also going to have their signature beryllium tweeter. So Focal uses some premium materials in their loudspeakers, but also in this 1000 series, they kind of bring that down into their architectural line. So the left, right, and center channel is gonna be the IW-LCR6. It's going to be an MTM configuration to maximize dispersions. It's going to have a mid-woofer, tweeter, mid-woofer. And so we'll have two left, right, and then one down below the screen for the center channel. But one of the main reasons we chose to go with the LCRs up front is because they will really be able to, have a more fuller sound stage, meaning they will have still the same high frequencies audio, but they'll be able to go down much lower. So it's a more fuller range sound having those two or an additional woofer as opposed to what's going on the side surround. So that's why we chose to go with the IW-LCR and why we dropped down to the IW6 for the sides and the rear. So it's really not losing much overall performance. Again, optimally, there's nothing in the rule book that says you can't do this. You can use a LCR for all of your bed layer speakers, and again, that would be the most optimal performance-driven theater. And then up top here, we're going to be utilizing, again, their architectural line, the Focal 1000 series. But one important thing to note with the IC-A6 is that the woofer and the tweeter are going to be cohesively aligned to the listener. One of the main things that we wanted to do with Dolby Atmos and why these speakers are such a great fit for Dolby Atmos is because, again, the woofer and the tweeter are both angled inside the speaker baffle itself, and then you can install it and then aim that basically to where I'm standing now, which will be the main listening position for the room. The front row, that's about 11 feet away from a 120-inch screen. One thing that I did note installing these at my home myself is the bracket, and we will get into a lot of these tips and tricks, and that's one of the main purpose to get more in-depth videos while we're doing the installation. We have a bracket, that was installed incorrectly, which is fine. In this instance, we're gonna be covering that with an acoustic panel, but we will touch on, how those should have been installed correctly. That way you viewers at home don't have to make that same mistake. If you're purchasing through Dream Media, we can also FaceTime and make sure they were installed correctly. Get photos after the drywall's done to just confirm that. But we will go over that. One thing to note on the in-ceiling speakers when I was installing these at my house is the bracket themselves tell you where the speaker will ultimately end up after you do the quarter turn to lock it in. So you'll actually get the bracket lined up to the listening area first, and we'll show you some different ways to make sure that those are in line to the viewing area. We won't be using lasers, but we may use some strings so you don't have to go out and buy a $500, $300 laser from your local hardware store. but we will be utilizing how to turn the bracket, get it aimed towards the listening position, and then once you actually install it and lock it in, how the tweeter and everything is aligned to the listening area.
Now we're getting to the fun part. Let's go ahead and open up our speakers and start installing. Let's go!
Enough talking, let's get installing.
This is the Focal 1000. In particular, we're looking at the Focal 1000 IW6. These are fully enclosed in-wall speakers, so this is going to be comparable to like a bookshelf or a floor stander, especially the LCRs. So this is the 1000 IW6. We also would like to notate this nice, beautiful beryllium inverted dome tweeter. It also has a rotatable tweeter, so you can directionally point that audio towards your target seating area. In addition, we have plus and minus 3 dB adjustments right there. Looks like speaker terminals right here on the back. Nice quality push button.
This is the IWLCR. You're gonna have two of your bass drivers here, a little 4-inch mid-range, and then your beryllium tweeter. What's unique too about this tweeter is you can direct the higher frequencies, you know, a little bit left and right. So if you have a flat wall, what we're working with today, you can, you know, toe them in slightly to make the higher frequencies on axis. And what's really cool is, and we'll be utilizing it as well, is if you loosen up these two Allen wrench or Allen screws here, you'll be able to turn this to where your mid-range and your tweeter are going to be, you know, vertically aligned. If you're putting this behind acoustic fabric, you can go ahead and toggle the 3 dB switch for your mid-range and tweeter, and then you also have a 3 dB for your woofers as well. First thing on top is going to be accessories box here. So once you open it up, you're gonna have some of the boring stuff. You're gonna have a grill scrim. So if you want the metal grill over the speaker, you don't want to see through that metal grill. It comes with a stickable scrim cloth that you can stick to the back of the metal grill. If you're not going to use the grill, you can skip that step. Obviously, with all of their speakers comes the construction dust cover, so we'll be utilizing that as well. And then if we were retrofitting, the customer did get the Focal brackets ahead of time, so it is going to make our job very seamless and very efficient. It's what we love to do. We like to pre-wire, get those brackets in, let the guys that do drywall cutting for a living do that for us. If you needed to make a new hole, you'll just utilize this template to make the correct size hole for the speaker. Comes with a circular grill and a square grill. So both grill options are included. The square one is in here. The circular one is painted navy to match the room.
One quick thing, guys, that I want to add in here. These speaker grills have been painted already. The process is very important. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've seen these grills clogged up, and I just feel so bad for the homeowner. When you're doing grills, there's a couple ways to do it. The easiest way for DIY customers is spray paint. Try to get a spray paint that's the same exact color.
Or you can have one custom made to match your swatch.
And that comes out just super thin. And if you hit it from a distance, you're pretty much golden. Like anybody can do it. So that's my number one choice. Number two, if you have painters in the house that are like painting the rest of the home and you don't want to go custom make a can, they can water down their paint and then spray from a distance. Just really light coats, guys. I mean, what I see is the grill's getting clogged. You don't want to roll it with a roller, you don't want to brush it, and you don't want to hit it with the standard paint without kind of cutting it. and making it thinner and hitting it from a distance. I just wanted to add that in because it's really frustrating after you do your whole theater and you go for that last step to paint the grills and then they get clogged.
Even though they are replaceable.
Yeah, we can get you new ones.
Fun, just adds more time and labor.
One of those things where it's like,
take your time, do it right. It can easily be done, but it can easily be messed up. All right, continuing on here, we have the warranty documentation and a spec guide. You can also scan the QR codes to get additional information on the Focal series speaker itself or the Focal brand in general. But if you open that up, you are going to have a little install diagram here, step by step. Really easy to follow. Kind of a two-part install for this speaker. You do have a cradle that goes inside of the hole beforehand. Once it grabs, you'll kind of add some tension and then you'll actually pop this lock in. So you'll need to actually pull this up and push it down to lock it. So that there you can see it's kind of locked, but once it gets more tension on the drywall, you won't be able to move this.
Yeah, as you guys can see, there's like a little, it actually drops down into that clamp.
All right guys, so this is the Focal 1000 series ICA6. This is an angled baffle speaker. The speaker woofer and tweeter are actually angled inside of the overall casing of the speaker. So it's not a complete just radiating, down firing speaker. The ICW6, the ICW8, those are both the 6.5 inch and 8 inch, just straight down firing in-ceiling speakers. Those are good for overall coverage, distributed audio. These can be utilized for discrete channels for home theater, or if you need to direct sound a certain direction. So if it's up against a wall, if that's the only place you can put speakers, you need that music to be pushed more into the living area or wherever, you can utilize these, or the IWLCR to help direct that sound to a certain position. We are using these in a home theater configuration as a discrete channel for our Atmos. So Atmos is an atmospheric audio codec where it is adding height to your surround sound. Traditionally, surround sounds were going to be used with speakers that surround you in room close to ear level. So we are utilizing that still today. We're going to have 7 speakers that are going to be as our bed layer speakers. And bed layer, I mean ground effects, things that are happening on a ground level, people running, cars, boats, anything that would in everyday life be happening on the ground. And then to add height effects, birds chirping, wind blowing around the room, helicopters, planes, overhead, comets, missiles, whatever. Any overhead effect that the director or the sound engineer mixer is wanting to utilize to make your room more atmospheric, we're going to be using these. So what's awesome about these, again, they're angled. You have the woofer and the tweeter both directed to you, which really helps with time alignment and arrival. When these low frequencies from the mid-bass woofer and the tweeter are arriving to your ear at the same time, it becomes a more convincing experience to your ears that was a realistic representation of how that sound sounds in everyday life.
And this is a 2-piece design, guys. Whenever you go to flip it up, it actually puts pressure on the dog leg to where it pushes it down and locks like that. And then the speaker, if you look at the backside, see these little slits right here? Here, 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 all the way around, all 4 locations. These little hooks go and clip in there to where then once you lock it in, it has this lip. Speaker, obviously we're upside down, but it's just gonna fall into place. And I'm trying to show this to you guys like out of the attic space so that you actually get an idea. We've had a lot of questions and concerns and installation problems with this speaker. So we wanted to make an in-depth video. Did you hear that? I'm sure you guys heard that snap. That means we are locked in. So now the speaker can't move. It can't go anywhere.
All right, so whenever you push the speaker, first of all, you'll want to get the bracket aimed towards the seating area. That red indicator is just an indicator on the bracket where you would like to point the actual tweeter. So let's say we've got it lined up right towards you, the viewer, and then you'll want to get these arrows lined up with the unlocked on the actual bracket. So boom, it'll slide right in there.
See how it's lining up with these slits, and then you just rotate it onto that lip, and that's what holds it in place. So what you're looking for, guys, is just that all of them are underneath that lip, just like that, all the way around. And you won't be able to see it when you go to put it in the ceiling. So I wanted to show this view for you guys of it out of the ceiling. But essentially, we're just gonna line up that red line, that red little speaker emblem here with our target seating area, line it up on the unlocked, and rotate into place. All right, so we got these puppies out of the box. Now, guys, let's get them put in the walls.
Like Zach mentioned before, we are gonna go ahead and start installing the Focal 1000 IW6. This is a monopole surround speaker. You can also utilize this as your front left and right as well. If you can, budget allows, space allows, jump up to the IWLCR. One thing I like to look around is just make sure that there's nothing that's going to really hinder us from, feel around on the inside. Make sure you have enough clearance for those tabs to grab onto the back of the drywall. I also already installed these and have an install video on our channel if you want to look back. It's going to be pretty straightforward. We already have our speaker wire ran. Grab a utility knife here. I'm going to go ahead and make a fresh new cut to work with. You're gonna make a little slit in the little jacket. I'm gonna take off about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch here on the actual terminal. Give the copper a quick twist. That way it's easy to thread through the actual push terminals on the speaker. And we're gonna actually install these to where the tweeter is gonna be above the woofer in this instance. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab speaker wire here. You're gonna have red and black, obviously red and black here as well. So we're gonna do red first, push down the red on the speaker terminal, slide it through so you see it on the other side. Let go, it's gonna catch. Same thing for the black here. Red through, gone through, it's catched.
These little screws transition, as you screw them in, are going to open up. It's called a dog leg. It's a little toggle that pops out, and it's gonna clamp this edge right here and that toggle, the dog leg, between the sheetrock so that it can't move. And there's a nice foam pad that's gonna cut back on vibration, as well as seal the speaker so no drywall dust or any debris comes into the room as that woofer is excurting.
This is a Allen key drill bit that can go into your drill.
If you're gonna use electric though, guys, just be really careful. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen dog legs broke off.
Use the lowest setting if you're using an impact. This is just a like screwdriver, so you can turn it down as well, but this is really low power. It's just really to efficiency.
Don't use like a hammer drill or an impact and just snap those puppies off, because I've gone out to homes and it's sad whenever they get snapped off because you're
essentially have to got a whole new speaker. This is a 4mm bit here. What I'm gonna do, even though the hole is already cut, all we're looking for is perfect here. You can hear it, the dog leg switch over, and when you hear it catch, you can hear the tone. So we'll just come back through, wipe things off really good, but that is how you install a Focal 1000 series IW6.
All right, nice work, Kellen. This thing looks absolutely beautiful. We're gonna rotate that tweeter down and kind of a little bit inward to cut back on our primary reflection point and position the tweeter towards our target seating area. Like Kellen said, we're gonna come and clean these all off when we're finished. One thing that's really nice with Focal is they think of everything. So like I told you, they have the grills that are magnetic, they just pop right on. But also, because this home isn't completely finished, they have a few more weeks till move-in, and they're gonna be touching up and stuff in here. We don't want any paint to get on our speakers, so they have these really nice paint shields that are magnetic. So you can just pop it on like this, and then it protects your speaker from the painter so they can come in and touch everything up, make the room look perfect, and then we'll come back for final calibration and deployment. One knocked out, let's move on to the next.
Full transparency, the customer is going to have the carpet completely up and redone. So we are still trying to minimize mess here, but there is going to be some work still going on. So beryllium is a delicate material. We'll have those on there. Extra protection never hurts while there's still things going on in the construction area. Rinse and repeat from the previous step. We installed the rear left. Same thing here. I'm gonna give this wire a fresh cut to work with here. We're gonna be using the speaker wire that we do sell here at Dream Media. It's a shielded, in-wall rated speaker wire. So some of the important things about that, safety first and foremost, but also, interference. Maybe you have high current electrical, and if you can look, there is a wire, but certain circumstances, a sconce that is in the hallway behind the theater as you walk up the stairs, even though it's not, I'd say, ideal, it's not really the worst thing that can happen. So again, you want to feel around, see if you're going to have any obstructions right out of the gate. I know that this is going to go in just fine because the customer did install a pre-construction bracket. So for you guys that may feel a little intimidated about cutting holes into your own home, spend the 50 bucks, 35 bucks, depending on whatever bracket model number fits the speaker. Put these brackets in. Have your drywall guy, the guy that does it for a living, make the hole for you. Once the bracket is in place, it's more or less a stencil for that drywall guy to come in, or lay the drywall, sheetrock over top of it, come back in, use that bracket as a guide. Now you have the hole that is perfect for the speaker. Just some wire strippers. We're gonna take about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch off of each, the red and the black. Give our copper a nice twist so it goes through the push terminals. Again, paying attention to the orientation of how we installed the other one. We have the tweeter on top. I like to do this just to essentially just get a little more height out of the tweeter because these are going to be at the rear of the room. It is installed. I'm gonna have Zach hand me my drill again. We're gonna tuck the excess speaker wire in here. I like to leave as much excess speaker wire as you can. The time alignment, the delays that are going through the speaker wire, your AVR will help and get rid of that. For whatever reason, the customer did want to switch speakers out. It still gives the person doing the installation or the customer themselves some flexibility to work with having that extra speaker cable. You'd rather be a foot long than an inch too short. I like to do cross diagonals. So you'll hear it pull. So one cool thing about these, if you do install them upside down, you can change this Focal logo to where it's right side up. You can just get something very carefully and pry out underneath of it. But you'll want to just work on the bottom and top. So again, there's these two little pegs. Even though customer may never see these, it's the little details. Now the logo emblem is right side up. All right, guys, so we're gonna continue on doing the side surrounds with the Focal 1000 IW6, but I do want to touch on one thing, the in-wall bracket for these two speakers. So in the back walls, you can see previously, before the speaker went in, you just had your drywall sheetrock go to the edge, and you didn't really see the bracket itself. We want to really touch on this because we've had a couple of customers that have installed them incorrectly from the get-go. We knew we were going to be covering these with fabric, so we wanted to leave this as an example. This bracket here technically needs to be flipped around and put on. That way you can get tripped up because there is a lip here that does seem to go or be a good spot for the drywall to stop. But you technically want to flip this over. That way the drywall guy can use this inner edge here to route out and leave just a clean, basically hole for your speaker to go into.
Yeah, so essentially guys, if you have this bezel right here facing you.
It was installed incorrectly.
Correct. The job can still be completed. It's just aesthetically, it's not gonna look as good as it could, but we left this intentionally because we wanted to put emphasis on this. We really appreciate everybody's support from around the country buying from us, but we just hate to see when little mistakes are made that could be avoided. So hopefully this helps you guys out with your installation of the pre-construction brackets.
So we're gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna go ahead and make a fresh cut of the speaker wire. Strip some of this jacket back on the wire itself. So just pull this back here.
Make sure to twist all your strands together, guys, so that it can go into the terminal easily. You don't want, ideally, any copper strands loose because they could potentially short out on the other terminal.
All right, so now we're in time to push it through the terminals. I'm gonna start with red first, and then black.
Very nice. These are push button too, very easy. As you can see, what I was stating earlier is you just want to make sure that strands from each aren't touching each other, like that.
We're gonna tuck some of this excess speaker wire in here. Saves a lot of time, a lot of hand cranks and forearm strength. Jump over to the next one here.
All right, guys, next we're going to be moving on to the installation of the IWLCR6s on our front soundstage. Take a drop cloth, just protect the floor, and then we'll be proceeding on to cutting holes. So what I like to do, guys, is just install my tape kind of at the baseboard line and then just attach my plastic to it. That way it really catches everything. You can just kind of fold it in and throw it away when you're done. And then I'll just take the corner and just pull it right up to where it seals all the way down. 1, 2, and now we're sealed up. Alrighty, Dream Media family, we are moving right along. I wanted to take just a minute to explain what's going on here at the front of the room. We're gonna be doing LCRs, not behind an acoustically transparent screen. In traditional home cinema, we like to use AT screens, acoustically transparent, so the speakers can be hidden behind the screen directly at ear level. But in this circumstance, we're gonna be using a different type of screen material called ALR, ambient light rejecting. The customer wants to come into this room and crank the lights all the way to 100 like they are now and still see his image. We're gonna be installing our speakers to the front left, front right, and center speaker down below the screen. So the speakers are gonna flank our screen rather than be behind the screen. We're actually going to be installing an on-wall enclosure. You can see they already had it painted for us to match the wall. For customers that may not have sheetrock, you can get these on-wall enclosures, this on-wall mount, and use the architectural speakers in any room. More importantly, I think what I really wanted to point out for my average home theater guys out there that have a room just like this, you know, standard sheetrock framing, 2x4, 2x6 walls. In many circumstances, the framing does not line up center to where you can pop that speaker in. This particular speaker is too large to fit in between any 16-inch stud bay or 24-inch stud bay, so we have to use an on-wall enclosure. Even if it can fit, like the Focal 100 series, many times that wall is not framed to where your 2x4s are gonna line up dead center. And we want that center speaker to be perfectly mounted right at center, as high up as possible, right with our screen. What we've done so far, guys, is we've mapped out where our screen's going to be. We started off by catching center. This is the center of the wall. Me and Kellen just measured that out. And then we marked out the edge of the screen, which is here and here. So the next thing we need to determine is our speaker location for our front left, right, and center speakers. So what we're gonna be using is a stud finder. Check this one out, guys. It's one of my personal favorites, Franklin Sensors. You can pick it up on Amazon. Very basic stud finder, but I've had very good results with this. It doesn't pick up power lines, plumbing, or gas lines though. Luckily in this room, we can see right behind the wall, so it's not as big of a deal. If you look right here, you take that stud finder and you slide it across the wall, we're gonna figure out where our studs are. So we got one stud right here, and then our next stud is way over here. Our speaker needs to go right in between the studs here. Now we need to check the other side to ensure that it can line up and measure the same distance off the screen. That's actually perfect, guys. If you have the opportunity to mount the speaker here or here, I always recommend bringing it closer into the room because it's gonna cut back on those reflections off your sidewall. Now that we know that we have adequate stud positioning for our left and right speakers, the next step is I want to determine how high we're going to mount our screen. In this room, we have a 12-inch riser with a step up at the back of the room and over to the side. And then we're gonna have seating in 2 rows. So it's important to consider your sight lines, guys. When you sit down and the rear row, there's nothing worse than heads blocking your view in the front row. We're gonna take our projections of the rear row as well as our viewing angle into account whenever we go to install and determine our height of the screen. So Kellen, what height are we at?
We're looking at about 65 inches tall.
65 inches.
Overall.
65 inches total height. We got the additional height of the riser itself plus our seating. We're gonna need to be roughly about 2 to 2.5 feet off the ground. This is going to be our height. What we did is we factored in the type of seating that they're using in this space. We're gonna be doing a love sack, really cozy lounge, basically a big bed at the front of the room. So we're gonna try to go as low as possible on this screen so that we can get the screen right there at eye level for the front row, but also we don't want to be too low to where our dialogue coming out of our center speaker is affected. And we're about 30 inches from our baseboard. We're a total of 38 inches from the floor. All right, so we got the whole screen, everything marked out. We have the left of the screen here, bottom of the screen here, top of the screen there, right of the screen over here. And we have the center speaker marked out. We've taken into account our different type of seating and our sight lines for this particular project. And it looks like, just as a reference, guys, we're about 31 inches to our tweeter on this model. So next we're going to start cutting in our holes. So our left and right speakers, guys, we want the tweeters to match our surrounds as far as height goes. Kellen, what was the measurement on that?
57 inches to the middle of the tweeter from the floor.
Great, so now we're gonna go over here and put a little mark of that 57-inch marker so we can determine where we're gonna put our cutout. 57, about right here. So right here is where we want the center of our tweeter. Go over to this side, do the same thing, 57. All right, Dream Media family, now that we have the screen marked out and we've determined where our stud locations are, as well as our center speaker placement, we're going to find the center of the screen so then we can put our cutout template for our front left and right centered with the middle of the screen so that it looks aesthetically pleasing. So Kellen right now is figuring out the center of where we marked out the screen previously, and I'm gonna help him put a little marker up there. So we got 65 inches, 32 and a half right there. And now we're gonna measure from the floor to that mark, and then from the floor to over here. 70 and a half, okay? So now we're gonna come over here, 70 and a half up, 49. We're just gonna measure from the ceiling.
Move this down 1/4 inch.
That way we're a little more precise. We're just measuring from the ceiling down. So that measurement is 49 1/4. So we're gonna mark out 49 1/4 on both sides. Now we're gonna take our cutout template, look at the center mark, which they actually have a little X right here. I just kind of marked out the edge of the template so that I could make sure I am dead on the money. Now we're gonna take our template with a level. It's really important that you level your template. Now the question is, how far do we want the template or the speaker to be off the screen? Because of the difference between the studs, left and right, what I'm going to do is install the right one first and butt it up as close to that stud. You gotta leave about 1 inch. You don't want it right on the stud because those dog legs still need to open, but get it as close as possible to the stud and cut that one in first, and then I'm gonna cut in the left one after I determine how close I can get on the right side. All right, guys, so we have everything templated out now, perfect. And we're now gonna move on to the fun part, cutting the holes. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace out each template, and then we'll move on to cutting. This is one of my favorite little drywall saws. Obviously, we have automatic ones with batteries and all kinds of cool stuff, but I like to show you guys the most typical way. I picked this up for under 10 bucks at Home Depot, and it's just a manual saw, but we're only cutting a couple holes here, so it should be nice and easy. Whew.
Good news.
Wow. Talk about unexpected things in the walls.
A random 10-inch long 2x6.
What in the world? Look at this, guys. Like, this is why you hire the pros, because what? Why? Why did they do that? Who knows? The sheetrock guys just, I guess needed to patch a couple pieces together, but wow. All right, guys, we got a little fire break here. I'm gonna try and knock it out. All right, and that's how you remove a fire break. Moving along. This is always the hardest, the front sound stage. Here's a little pro tip, guys. You see how that sheetrock just tried to like tear on me? When you're cutting really small pieces like that, loosen up your grip and just let it slide really fast, but don't put a lot of pressure into the sheetrock so that it can cut off that outside paper without tearing a big hole in the wall. That's happened to me many times to where, hopefully that little pro tip helps you guys. Okay, this side's done. All right, guys, so we actually have to wire the front sound stage here. We're gonna go ahead and just cut a hole straight through the back for our speaker line to shoot out. All right, now we're gonna feed our speaker wires through each. So I'm gonna be using 14-2 shielded oxygen-free speaker wire. All right, so I got our right speaker ran. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. I love to leave extra length, guys. There's nothing worse than being a couple inches too short when you're trying to knock out a project. I'll come over here to this side now. Same thing, 14-2 shielded wire. It's gonna pop right on over. Kellen, you wanna grab that one for me? Yeah. And then just pull it to the exact same length of the right speaker. Once Kellen pulls that out to length, so we can feed it into our rack, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the wire. All right, Kellen says we're good. I'm gonna leave a little extra length here, cut our wire, and now we get to the fun part. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my shielding back like that. Strip back our red and black wires about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. This is kind of the finished look that you're going for. Kellen's doing the same thing over here. As you can see, same process over here. Twist the strands together and on to the fun part. We get to install the speakers. Whoa, that's a beast. Oh yeah, looking good. Yep, not perfect.
Easy on this one.
So guys, this is a prime example whenever we're talking about sheetrock that kind of bends. As you can see right there where that stud is, the sheetrock actually warps. And that's really important to notate, bends and warps like that when you're doing the screen. Nice work, Kellen. Woo! All right, Dream Media family, moving right along. We got our front right speaker in. Now we're gonna be moving on to our front left. Oh yeah, can't forget. Look at this attention to detail. That's what I'm talking about, guys. It's that special Kellen treatment right here.
Customer's gonna get touch-up on paint. Carpet is actually being completely ripped out and redone. So we still want to be careful, and be mindful.
This here that Kellen's installing is a paint shield, and it's magnetic. I freaking love that Focal does this because it allows our painters to come in behind and easily do touch-ups without having to worry about our speakers getting any paint on them. As you guys can see, now we have our front right in at the surround rear, left, right, and surround left over here are all put in. So we're moving right along. On to the next one. All right, left speaker, same deal. Red to red, black to black. Make sure none of the wires get crossed or are touching each other. Make sure the shielding's all the way up in there, guys. I would like to warn you guys, Kellen is an experienced installer, but any of you guys who are doing this for the first time, you got to be really careful whenever you're screwing these dog legs in. See how he's super careful whenever it gets to the end, not to put too much pressure. But this type of drill that he's using, you could potentially snap off the dog legs, which is gonna result in a nightmare. It could damage the sheetrock or break the leg off, but either way, just be really careful, guys, as you're screwing these in.
I like to jump around, kind of back and forth to kind of evenly disperse, because like right up here I can get snug to the sheetrock, but down here, you know, it's a little, don't want to push it too much.
Now we're just gonna go ahead and clean the speaker off, and then we're gonna put on our paint grill over here. Beautiful. We're gonna continue to move forward with the installation process now. As you can see, up in the ceiling, we have our pre-construction brackets already installed, as well as the sheetrock guys, drywall guys who've come and cut it for us. So we're gonna proceed with taking our wire, our shielded, UL listed, in-wall rated speaker wire that we do sell it here at Dream Media for pre-wiring. We're gonna splice it back. That is 14.2, by the way. I don't know if we covered that in this room. And for most home theaters, we're using 14 gauge, 12 gauge, or for entry level theaters or shorter run, smaller systems, we'll use 16.2 wire as well. We're gonna go grab a ladder and pop these in ceilings in. Let's go. I would like to point out that these pre-construction brackets that are pre-installed here make life so much easier. I mean, order these when you're consulting with our specialist, because you can have these bolted in during the framing stage, and then the sheetrock guys just cut all the holes for you and makes it to where you just come and pop them right in. If you're DIYing, that can just be a lifesaver. So even my pros out there, you guys know what I'm talking about. So we're gonna strip this back about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of shielding. Now we're going up. Just like that. The same process that I just showed you over there on the ground, we're just repeating it here in the ceiling now. And we're gonna go red to red, black to black, push button terminals. Now we're just gonna take our speaker, go up into the ceiling, line up our unlocked arrows. So like this. And we're gonna rotate it right into place, like that. Perfect. So now we got our red arrow with some sound waves. We got the tweeter woofer, everything pointed right towards our target seating area. The last thing is just putting on our dust cover. So these dust cover here, guys, are a lifesaver whenever you're doing a theater. There's multiple phases to the process, and one is touch-up paint. Whenever we're doing touch-ups, we appreciate the painters making everything perfect, but we definitely do not want paint on our brand new speakers. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos so far. If you like it, drop some comments down below and let me know what you guys are loving about the process. If you have any questions, anything else that you'd like to see in upcoming videos. We're gonna start doing these in-depth install videos on a quarterly basis. Obviously, as Dream Media has grown, we can't film every single project, but I do wanna give back to the community by showing some of these little minute details. We're gonna strip back our wire, again, twist our pairs together, and pop in our next bracket. Again, being aware of our red arrow there. Let's talk about those in-ceiling speakers. Little thing that we ran into that was kind of unique. Obviously, we went through showing you exactly how the mechanism works, but in certain circumstances, like on this speaker, we actually had to pop out the little circle that holds the pre-wire, the actual physical wire, because of the way the sheetrock wasn't sitting perfectly level. It was actually making the bracket push the speaker down to where there'd be a little tiny gap between the sheetrock and the bracket. So we popped those out. If you guys are experiencing that as well, like the speaker just won't go flush, you may have to pop that little tab out as well. It's plastic, it pops out super easy, but I was getting kind of frustrated up there on that speaker during the installation process, and as soon as I popped that little clip out, it went nice and tight. The reason it's important is because as that woofer is extruding and as we're creating energy in the room, the woofers are pounding. It's gonna pressurize the space, and drywall dust inside of your walls will actually start coming into the room because the room is breathing. It's really important to get that seal nice and tight with that nice foam grommet that's around the edge, sealing the attic from the interior space.
Looks good.
Woo! Wow, that was a tricky one.
Woo, woo, woo.
You okay?
Yeah.
We just installed the IW6 1000 series as well as the IWLCR6 for our front soundstage. This cool little product that Focal has for their 1000 series. It's an on-wall mount in case you can't put the speaker in the wall, but you want it to match the rest of your surround system. This is gonna be really common if your studs aren't lining up center with the screen, kind of like in this situation. We can just bolt the box to it. This has been color match to the wall, so it'll blend in pretty well. If you look closely, it actually has a nice little bezel to it, kind of a nice design aspect. Yeah, what's really cool about this box is not only can we use it on sheetrock, but a lot of you guys have basements, or maybe you live in a place where you have concrete walls, brick walls, any area in your home where you don't even want to go into the wall, you may want to consider utilizing this product here. Or say there's like, I've used it a lot on projects where there's like just a wall of glass and there's a little spot in between the window and the door where we could put the speaker, but the studs aren't cooperating. There's really no space inside the wall. It's almost all wood, but there's enough space to fit the speaker. Perfect problem solver. So guys, what we're doing now is we're gonna line up dead center, make sure that our bracket is mounted in the appropriate location. And then we're going to take our speaker and make sure that it's dead center on the wall, but also level. This is the template for an in-wall speaker. If we were able, like if we had the wall custom framed, we could then put the center speaker in the horizontal orientation, no problem, but we got several studs here. This is where we want the center, but we're gonna use our on-wall bracket here. Right now, we got everything marked out so we can install our sheetrock anchors. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to hit studs, but we're gonna use 4 75-pound drywall anchors. So this thing is gonna be rock solid. I'd like to introduce our EPV PolarStar ALR ambient light rejecting screen right here, guys. We're gonna be taking this puppy out of the box, showing it off, assembling it, putting all the tension rods in, all the springs, assembling the frame, going through all the little details, as well as hanging it up on the wall, drilling into our studs, and then doing a demo for you guys. I've actually used the PolarStar in past projects, and although it may not be up to Stewart Screen Innovations level, it also doesn't have that price tag. You get incredible performance out of these EPVs. All right guys, so we're gonna start out by just laying our frames in the correct location. And rods here, we're just gonna spread them out. The ones with the black tips are going two to the top, two to the bottom. One with the red tips, we're doing left and right. Phillips screwdriver. As you can see here, we're lining up the top bracket with the bottom bracket. The bottom bracket is holding the two frames together, and this one just sits right there on top. All right guys, we now have our lower and upper frames firmly attached with that plate. We're gonna do the same thing on our corners. We have a smaller L bracket here, and then a larger one that's going to sit on top. I'm gonna go small one on bottom, like that. And what I'm gonna do for now is just kind of get them lined up, because I don't want to tighten it down completely until I'm sure that the projector screen is square. That's really important. I can't tell you how many times I've seen screens assembled and they're not square, and then you get to the alignment phase and you're just fighting an uphill battle trying to do keystone correction on an image that isn't square to begin with. So you got to make sure that that screen is perfectly square, guys. All right guys, so as you can see, we just laid an underlayment to ensure that we get nothing on our screen. I would highly recommend that you do this as well. As you can see, or you may not be able to see, but there's a little bit of debris on the floor. Now that Kellen's rolling it out, we can rest assured that our screen is gonna be perfect. All right guys, so we're moving right along with this installation. As you can see, we slipped our tension rods under and over all the way down. And then now we're gonna attach our springs to tighten it to all of the edges. I'm gonna start in the corners because the corners are gonna evenly stretch all four corners at one time. Then we'll go from the middle on each side and work our way out. All right, Dream Media family, as you can see, we got our cross beam in there, all of our springs down, everything's looking nice. We just want to ensure that it is perfectly square. So the best way to do that is to measure diagonally. We're going to check this way and this way, and you don't want it to be even a quarter of an inch off, an eighth of an inch. You want it exact.
When you're laying out the material, it will say this is the back. While we're using the Polar Star in this particular room, the customer really wanted to not have to set in the complete darkness. That's why we opted away from an acoustically transparent. And you may mention in the comments, we'll just do a perforated screen. Well, the front row is gonna be right at about 10-ish foot, just inside 10 foot maybe. Really need to be about 12 plus to do some of the micro perf screens out there with Stewart or Screen Innovations. Didn't want to be able to see the holes. We still wanted to do ALR. So that is why we are going this route, just so you guys know in the comments.
All right, guys, now that we've confirmed that our image is square, our projector screen is square, we're gonna crank down all the corners. All right, Dream Media family, we are moving right along with this screen installation. Now that we have everything assembled, next it's time for us to actually bolt this puppy to the wall. So what we're gonna do is grab our stud finder and a ladder. We're gonna get up there where we have marked out. We want the top of the projector screen, which is right here at this blue tape. And then we wanna evenly distribute the weight. So about a quarter in on both sides, leaving about half of your span here in the middle, typically gives you really nice dispersion. So you're looking to put a bracket about right here and right here, if possible. So we're gonna check out our stud placement and then we'll go from there. Right here is center. Kellen has a Franklin Sensors stud finder. This is my personal favorite. It gets the job done. You've seen me use this in a ton of projects. Now we're going to check out kind of what our options are. So we're gonna do one about roughly right there. And then our next one be out here. So let's go ahead and go over our mounting hardware. As you can see right here, we have a couple little brackets that are gonna allow us to mount them up like this and then just hang the projector screen on it. I'd also like to point out that they have these other little tiny black brackets that are for the bottom of the screen. And every time I've done this installation, I don't end up using it. Hear me out. These actually show at the bottom of the screen, and it's not very aesthetically pleasing. So unless you have children in the home that are gonna be like literally jiggling the frame trying to pull it off the wall, this isn't really necessary. All right guys, now that we have our location marked out, we're gonna go ahead and put our little bracket up, and I'll probably just go ahead and trace it out to make it even easier as a demonstration for you guys. Right here, 17 inches from the ceiling, go ahead and trace it out so you know where you're drilling. Now that that side's level, you could do one of two things. You can either just put a drywall anchor in right next to it, but anytime I can go into wood, I'm gonna drill into wood. Toe it in a little bit and just hit both sides. There you go. And then like with that, there's no possible way that thing can come down. So now we're gonna move on to the other side. Line it right up. I go ahead and do my same technique of doing a little outline here and then a little pilot hole. And doing that kind of just gets the hole started. A lot of the time when I try to hold the bracket and the screw and the screwdriver, I'll end up like dropping some things. Okay. And our final screw here. All right, Dream Media family, now we're gonna get this thing thrown up on the wall. Let's do it. Oh yeah, it went on like a glove, dude. That was great. Smooth. Now that we got it up on the wall, we're essentially just checking the small details. We want to make sure it's perfectly level with the earth. In addition to, we want to make sure it's center. So we got 6 inches over here, 7.5. So we need 3/4 inches to the right. There you go, perfect. So we got 6 3/4 over here, 6 3/4 over here. Perfect. All right, guys, we did it. Okay, so what I like to do, guys, is just drill a little pilot hole. That way our anchors go in really easy. That was not a drill bit. That's a Phillips head screwdriver, but it gets the job done. So now you can see I got everything ready to go. Now I'm just gonna install my 75-pound sheetrock anchors. They're gonna go in and spread, really securing that mount to the wall.
Been in Nashville too long.
I have been. Look at you, Kellen.
They're right here.
No messes allowed. So now watch how easy these go in now that I've got some pilots here. There we go. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and install the bracket.
That would probably hold it, but we've got 6 more.
Yeah, so here at Dream Media, we like to go overkill, guys. Like, we don't want anything coming off the walls. So obviously, like, that would be more than enough, 150 pounds. But I'm gonna put them all in just to make sure this puppy doesn't go anywhere. You can hang from that puppy. It's not going anywhere now. As you can see, those things are bolted in solid now on both sides. As you guys can see over here at the rear, there is a bunch of free wiring for the home back here. Here's our speaker line for our center speaker. This is a strong FS series rack we're gonna be using. Guys, I've used this a ton. This is for sale on the Dream Media website. Comes fully assembled, ventilation, shelves, really nice wheels and casters built in. Basically everything that you need. As you can see, Kelton's in here right now, stripping back the wires, getting ready to connect our center speaker.
If you're gonna be doing a whole theater with Focal speakers from us, I would really, recommend. We don't sell everything in the kitchen sink here at Dream Media, but these will make life a lot easier when you're doing, 7, 11, 16, whatever it is of these speakers. These little hex bits that will go in a drill will just make everything more efficient. So these are a different size than what you're going to be using to kick out the dog legs. You still want to be really, really gentle with these. Okay, and it only spins one way. So right now that's the orientation, so we're going to spin it.
All right, guys, all we're doing now is just connecting black to black, red to red. Guys, something that we just learned as we were installing the speaker into the enclosure is there's 2 separate sides to the enclosure, and it's important that you notate that when switching your tweeter directionality, because it actually has a cutout specifically for the speaker wire and the terminals and everything to come into, whereas the other side does not. So now, unfortunately, we just have to flip our tweeter again.
Alrighty guys, we're gonna be doing an unboxing of the SB4000 subwoofers. This is a sealed sub in their 4000 series. It features a 13.5-inch woofer, 1400 watts amplifier, 4000 peak wattage. The subwoofer's gonna be about 18 inches tall, 22 inches deep. I know I personally, back in the day, used to own a couple pair of the PV4000s. Extremely pleased with their performance. I know these sealed subs are going to be rocking in this size room. So right on top here, you're gonna have warranty documentation. You're actually going to have a remote to actually control some of the DSP functions on these built into the sub itself. You have your power cord here. You have your metal grill cover, which I think is really nice. The cloth ones are okay too, but I like the metal ones in case you have some kiddos that may kicking balls around.
I got
may hurt the
those.
subs.
Got those kiddos.
This is the black ash finish. This is a 13.5-inch woofer, 1400 watt built-in amplifier here on the back. You're gonna have your usual suspects, line level out, your line level in, your LFE input, 12 volt trigger, XLR connections here in and out, your main power in, and your power toggle switch down at the bottom. So really excited to get both of these fired up and get this room rocking.
All right, Dream Media family, one other thing that I wanted to add in, this is a super, super small part, but very important. Surge protection on all low voltage items around your home is extremely important. This is a single wall tap from Wattbox, 540 joules, nice little EMI RFI filtration device. Gets the job done at a very, very low cost. It's perfect for subwoofers, which is why I'm showing it to you guys today. I'm gonna recommend these when you reach out to Dream Media. We're gonna throw one on each subwoofer to protect the customer's investment. All right, Dream Media family, now that we got our subwoofers out of the box, we're gonna move on to our low voltage wiring. Here at Dream Media, we literally sell everything that you guys need. Today, we're gonna be using it for our subwoofers, and what we're gonna be doing is cutting a single gang hole on each side next to our power outlet, and we're gonna be running RCAs to our Marantz AVR. Let's talk about the ways that you can connect your subwoofers. The most common is going to be RCA and connecting it out to the LFE. You're gonna assign all your crossovers and do all of your heavy lifting with your AVR. You can also connect for more advanced AVRs, your subwoofers via XLR. There's also different types of subwoofers. These are active powered subwoofers, meaning the amplifier is built into the unit. So we're just gonna take LFE signal out of our AVR into the subwoofers, each individual one, so we have independent bass control. In addition to that, we sell passive subwoofers. The way that it works is we'll run a low voltage wire, essentially just a speaker wire, like a 12-2 or a 14-2 speaker wire to the subwoofer, which cuts back on wiring. And then we put our amplification in the rack, and then you just take RCA or XLR out of your amplifier that's mounted in the rack into your processor. So then it's the same process, just LFE out into the subwoofer amplifier, and then it feeds that low voltage signal that's now powered over to the subwoofer. In this case, it's all done internally, LFE straight from the AVR. I actually wanna get these subwoofers as close to the corner as possible. When you can corner load a sub, you're gonna get additional room response. I like to do, if at all possible, additional subs at the rear of the room too for better dispersion. But 2 subs, front corners of the room is typical best practice if you can't get a sub in each corner. I kind of like to do opposing corners if at all possible, but in this room, the seating is going butted up right against the back wall. There's not going to be anywhere to put a rear sub. So this would be a good opportunity if you're wanting even better bass response in room to put passive in-wall subwoofers at the rear of the room to help compensate and give you better dispersion at the rear of the room. I'm gonna go ahead and pop out our cables. Super nice quality cables, guys. SVS has always just been an incredible performer. Everything they do is bang for your buck. I mean, I'm just a huge fan. Super premium, great price point. It's important to note that they are directional. As you can see, there's a little arrow. So we're gonna need to run it in the correct orientation, being that the signal is going this way to our subwoofer. I am going to feed this end of the cable through the wall to our rack. I got my two cables kind of lined up, and now I'm gonna get my drywall saw and cut a single gang hole over here. And I'm gonna give myself a couple inches so I don't break the sheetrock and go ahead and start cutting. I've cut a ton of single gang holes over the years, so I'm pretty familiar with just freehand cutting these, but we do have these little tools you can get at Home Depot that kind of create a stencil. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and push through our RCA. So it can be connected to our AVR. And this part here, we're gonna put a pass-through plate on and it's gonna hook right to our LFE. So probably have to make the hole a little bit bigger because of these Home Depot wall plates that we're using here. And we're gonna go right here, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the power cable just a little bit. Now we're ready to make our connections for our subwoofer. We have power and we have RCA. We got our on-off buttons. We have balanced inputs and outputs. As I said, you can use XLR. We're gonna be using today the LFE port. So there's also a trigger, but we're just gonna have it auto sense to turn on. So you can also do line level output here. Go ahead and put our grills on.
All right, guys, so went ahead and sliced it open. On top here, you're gonna have a little diagram that says grab a buddy to help you lift up this projector. So NZ900, NZ800, those are gonna be pushing, 50 pounds plus if you go to the NZ900. NZ7 is still gonna fall below. On the inside, you have your power cord, you have your remote, batteries for the remote, your warranty information. If you
talk about warranty, Kellen.
Yeah, you don't want to buy it from a crazy Chris off the street. So yeah, make sure you're buying it from an authorized dealer. That way you do have a warranty. Your dealer and JVC can have your back to replace it. There's a 1-year advanced replacement. So if you have an issue within the first year, they're gonna send out a brand new unit to you. You put the old one in the box, ship it back to them. But yeah, top foam, again, these boxes ship very well. I don't think, we've really ever had any shipping damages with a JVC. They come very well packaged. And yeah, this is pretty much the moment you've been waiting for. I know it says grab a buddy, grab a friend, but I'm not gonna wait on Zach. So here we go. Alrighty, right. I think this is gonna be the front. So, I'm gonna show you the back first. How about that? Be gentle. Alrighty, here we go. NZ900. So one thing you will notice on the NZ900, or if you can still find an NZ9, get a good deal on those. These are gonna have, something we forgot to describe earlier. It's gonna have a 100mm all glass lens, where the NZ7, the NP5, they're gonna have a smaller lens.
Got your IR sensor right there on the front. There's an IR sensor on the back of this unit. We got hard buttons, on, off, menu, all of the up, down, left, right, okay, back input buttons. One cool thing with this new model is they said they have 4K 120 hertz inputs, 8K 60 hertz inputs.
Yep.
HDMI 2.1, 3D sync, RRS 232 service, LAN and trigger ports. All right, Dream Media family, so we are moving right along with this project. We figured perfect timing to pop up our brand new NZ900. So we have a beautiful hush box here, but do you want to go over some of the other mounting options that are commonly used and go over some of the hardware that we have to offer?
Yeah, so with the NZ900, obviously the customer, you know, it's not a, I would say, full-on hush box because we are gonna leave the front open. There is some exhaust out the back. You know, this is just a nice, clean way to, you know, install your projector. If you're wanting to ceiling mount the NZ900, we also sell our Dream Media preferred mount on our site. We really would like to use those for the NZ7 and below, anything that's gonna be below 50 pounds. The NZ800, you know, is kind of pushing the scales. The NZ900, you know, that's where we really like to go into the chief mounts. We won't, you know, miss that if you're working with us directly. So that's why we'd like for you to reach out. If you have questions, you know, you don't know what screen to use, don't know what projector mount, you know, even if you've already have the projector, you're looking for a new mount, whatever the case is, we're here to help. We have our electrical out up there right now. We have our HDMI cable. We have our cable for our IR extension because we're going to be installing the brand new Ava cinema remote. The thing kicks booty. But yeah, this is just a little single outlet surge protector that we're going to put into the existing outlet and then plug our projector into there. So it's good to protect your investment, but this doesn't really have to go on projectors. It can go on subwoofers. It can go on, you know, your modem if that is, you know, away from your rack. Anything that you think that is important to you that you want to protect, and we can get you set up. But this is a watt box single outlet surge protector.
What's great too, I mean, 540 joules and it's like 39 bucks. I mean, pretty hard to beat. Yeah, really nice and compact. I do want to talk about HDMI specifications, guys. So whenever you are running a quality projector, you gotta have the right cabling in place. So as you can see, we do have a top of the line HDMI cable that does support 8K, HDR, ER, all that good stuff. It's 48 gigabits per second, and it does do our HDMI 2.1, our 8K at 60 hertz. So we are, it also has grip tech. This is a little cool feature that I don't talk about very often, but it just kind of clips that HDMI in with a firmer hold. I really like using grip tech HDMIs if at all possible. But HDMI is just another thing that you can add to your package. Here at Dream Media, we want to make it seamless, guys, to where everything's there on install day and you can get that whole project knocked out in 1 day, maybe 2 days, depending on the installers and timelines and things like that. But as you can see, Kellen is getting antsy back there. We're gonna go ahead and get this projector thrown up. Let's go, guys.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop this puppy in. Alrighty, so we have our power cord ran, Cat 6 off to the side because we're gonna try to splice that a little later with our Ava remote.
Things are not light. All right, there you go.
We went ahead and made sure this cabinet was completely level ahead of time. This is center to the room, so I'm gonna go ahead and measure center of the box. Go ahead and get the lens lined up to that as well.
So guys, right now, we're just running an extension cable until tomorrow when the electricians get out here, just to get our alignment done so that we don't have to worry about it tomorrow, but that power outlet isn't live right now. All right guys, so now we're powering up the projector and I'm gonna take the cameras and flip it that direction so then we can talk about best practices for alignment. All right guys, now we got the cameras flipped around for you. Kellen's gonna lower the light a little bit. You're probably not gonna see us, but I wanna make sure you can see kind of the procedure. So whenever you're doing a projector alignment, there's a few core things that you need to consider. Is your projector screen, first of all, level and square? We covered that when we did the installation of this screen. What you do is you measure your screen diagonally both ways and make sure you have the exact same measurement. So always start there, guys. Make sure your screen's nice and square, make sure your screen's level with earth, and make sure that the sheetrock is level. If you go and touch one side of your screen like this, guys, go over here, and that side is solid, and you come over here, and this side of the screen is moving, then you know you're probably gonna have
Drywall's not plumb, so.
yeah, that's another very common issue that we see all the time. The next step is the projector. So we have the projector up there now. What we want to do is make sure that the projector lens is dead center with the screen.
And one thing that I noticed right out of the gate here is we have a little more bleed over past the speaker over on the left-hand side. Zach's face is kind of covering that now.
Oh.
But you can see, you know, we need to swivel the projector a little more to the right. Physically moving the projector first is going to, you know, make things a little easier when you get to the actual manipulating the zoom and the focus. And the least amount of lens shift you have to do inside the projector, I think the better. Because then you can introduce some chromic aberrations of, you know, then you have to do a lot of panel alignments, and it can just throw off the image slightly. So the less work you have to make the projector do, or any electronics.
Yeah, good point there, Kellen. So what we're gonna do is adjust our picture to where it's perfectly centered. And what Kellen's talking about is physically just rotating the projector to the right. And then after he's done that, what we're going to do is shift our image down, and then we're gonna adjust our feet on the bottom as needed to get it to level with the screen. It looks much better. So now, as you guys can see, we're a little bit closer to center. So next we're going to be zooming in and then shifting our image down, so then we can level the projector with the screen.
Perfect. So in order to do that, you're gonna hit the lens control button on the actual JVC remote. It's gonna be, you know, up in the top right area above your directional keypad. So we'll hit lens control. Now we're in focus. We're gonna hit it again. That's in zoom. So we can go ahead and make the image smaller by pressing down. We're gonna get close. We're gonna get close. Okay, then we're gonna hit lens control again and shift. Now we're physically shifting the image down onto the screen. Perfect.
That's pretty good though.
But it's pretty good. It's gonna make quick work tonight, boys. All right, here we go. Shift it down a little more.
So as you can see, guys, Kellen's just kind of tweaking it one click at a time and shifting and zooming, essentially. So as you can see, he's already getting extremely close. I don't know if you guys can see that, but his lines are pretty spot on. So now we're gonna get really up close and start doing a very, very detailed alignment that you guys may not be able to see on camera.
She's pretty dang good there, Haas.
So as you guys can see, Kellen's already just done an incredible job aligning this, but this is a very common...
Yeah, the top is level, isn't it?
Yeah, the top is level, so this is a very, very common issue when aligning projectors, and I made videos on this in the past, but essentially, guys, when you have a bigger gap on one of your sides, whether it's left or right on the bottom, but the top is level, what you're going to do is actually physically move the projector to the right. Whichever side has less of a gap, you're gonna lean into it, you're gonna rotate into it. Now I'm not talking about a lot. We're talking about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, barely adjusting that projector. And that's where that fine adjustment mount that we have for the ceiling really comes into play and is worth every penny. But we're gonna physically move it in this enclosure that we have up here, and then what we're gonna do is shift the image back onto the screen just a little bit. Like 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. That was perfect right there. So you guys can already see that the image is now square. it's just not on the screen. So what we're gonna do now is just shift it back onto the screen and everything's gonna be hunky-dory.
Kind of want to let the laser warm up the glass. The glass will expand slightly. Really want to run this thing about 15-20 minutes on and then adjust your focus. And when you turn it on, it may not look super tack sharp, but once that glass expands again, because you will, one thing that I did learn, you know, getting these laser projectors, you know, four-ish years ago, Chris Deutsch, our good buddy, that's moved on from JVC, you know, kept saying, you know, I feel like I need to get up, readjust the focus every time. And so what it was is, it was in focus if I just let it warm up, and then I would move it out of focus when it was, get it in focus when it was just fresh on, and then it would go out of focus once it's warmed up. And so what I was doing is I was fighting the back and forth. And so once I took note of that, you know, it's been great, but you may notice it, you may not be sensitive to it. I'm super sensitive to it. I look for things like that. It's hard for me to enjoy a movie sometimes because those things bother me, but it's things that I don't like to overlook when I'm here on site for our customers. So just a quick pro tip there, let the glass warm up a little bit, 15-20 minutes, then really dial in your focus. We're gonna go ahead and show you how to do that, even though this projector's only been on for less than 5 minutes, but you will wanna do that after this puppy's warmed up a little bit. Another thing, if you are using an acoustically transparent screen, the woven, the mesh, it can kind of throw off your eyes focus. So one thing you can do is get a white sheet of printer paper, hold it up flat to the screen, then adjust your focus that way. But this is a solid screen, so we're gonna hit the lens control button again, get to focus, okay? And so what we're gonna do is you're gonna rack it down. You're racking the focus. So on a camera, you can turn the lens to get in focus, right? You can tap the screen on your iPhone. We can't do that here. So how lenses work is you're gonna get the lenses, the glass elements in the lens aligned to where everything is in focus on a vertical plane, right? If this screen was another foot back, if it was forward, you're gonna have to rack the focus to make it seem sharper. So right now you can clearly see it is out of focus. So I'm going to start clicking the up button, and you can see it really get close there. Okay, I can see a lot of pixels. I'm gonna go past, okay, so now it's back out of focus. I'm gonna go down, 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 down. Okay, starting to see those pixels again. Okay, now I don't see them, so I'm about 1 or 2 clicks away, and she looks pretty spot on. So, you know, 80%, 90% of what I would say done in setting up this projector. One thing that we're gonna do further for our customer here, the panel alignment. So you're gonna have a red, blue, green panels. Those need to be aligned, or if you've ever been to a crappy movie theater and you see white text on screen, but you see a red above it and a blue below each letter, those panels are out of alignment. You need to see white text, not red, white, and blue, like the American flag. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna go to the menu here. It is the middle sub menu, and you're gonna look for pixel adjust. This is going to allow you to adjust the panels. So we're gonna turn it on. And right now we're gonna do the whole area. You can break it down into grids or zones. So you can do like I think it's a 6th. So you can have the top left, bottom left, middle top, down, top right, down right. We're gonna adjust the red first, and again, we're gonna do the pixel first. So what I did by hitting picture mode is change the red pixel to the blue, or the red panel to the blue panel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring those blue pixels up. You're gonna hit picture mode to switch to red.
I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Let me bring the camera closer, like, there you go.
And then we're gonna bring it down.
There you go. Now we can clearly see on camera the red, green, and blue. Okay, go ahead.
So vertical alignment looks pretty solid. The vertical lines do look white. You do have a slight blue to the left. We're gonna really pay attention to the middle line here. Still have a little blue to the left. So let's go ahead and fix that first. So we're gonna switch back to the blue. We're gonna go to pixel. Instead of pixel, we're gonna do fine. And then we're gonna move that ever so slightly to the right. So now that middle line is, you know, next to perfect, okay? So now we're gonna go back to picture mode. We're gonna manipulate the red pixels. We're gonna bring those back down. Looks pretty solid. I'm gonna go to fine to do those fine adjustments here. Looking at the dead center of the screen here, it looks pretty just tack sharp. What we're gonna do here is go back into our focus to make sure we didn't screw up anything there. And I think we are pretty solid at that point. You know, we're ready to get the popcorn started and watch a movie.
All right, check it out, guys. We got our old generation. Apologize for all the dust. This is an active job site. As you can see here, this is the NZ9, the previous generation, and the chassis on these puppies are actually identical. The NZ900 and the NZ9 literally have zero cosmetic differences. It's the same chassis. It's the same beautiful 100mm all glass lens right here. Oh, it's just stunning. Not only are these native 4K projectors, guys, but this is 8K eShift X, which is their latest iteration of eShift, and it really does work well, guys. So that's the front of the units. Take you around to the back here. This is the brand new NZ900. We are very, very grateful to our friends at JVC. Thank you guys for sending this over. This is the 900, and over here we have the previous generation, the NZ9. As you can see, the labeling, this one actually says RS4100, but they are essentially the same. It's reference versus precision series. Two different series, same specifications on those units. All right, Dream Media family. So before we get this shootout really started, I just wanted to update you that we're having a hard time getting them perfectly focused and aligned. So we got this piece of wood just to make sure that they're both level with earth. And Kellen is working on right now getting both of them lined up perfect so that we can just switch between each model. We're gonna be using a Sony A7 IV here to record our content. We do have, this is the FE 2.8 24-70 G lens, and we're gonna be recording in 4K 30. And as you can see, Kellen is getting it dialed in right now. Obviously on YouTube, you guys may have a hard time seeing what we're seeing, but the purpose of today's video is to just give you some of our thoughts about the products. So as you can see, Kellen is starting to get it super dialed in now. We want it to be just right on the money. Guys, so we just got them roughly installed and aligned and racked the focus. We're gonna leave it in default modes, both out of the box, just default settings, but we'll also go over some of our favorite HDR settings and some of the things that we recommend on the new NZ900 for customers who may purchase this from us. But for now, we're just gonna get into the shootout. All right, guys, so this is a scene from Ghostbusters, and we're displaying the JVC NZ9 right now. Now let's go over to the NZ900.
Until it's noticeably brighter. I mean, they're the same settings.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Okay.
again, NZ9.
NZ9. NZ900. Yeah, the brightness is notable. That's the NZ9.
NZ9 just looks a little bit softer. The NZ900 doesn't look like artificially sharpening. It just looks a little crisper. The big difference is overall brightness. All right, so this is a scene from Paw Patrol, a kid's movie. It's got some bright, vibrant stuff here. So this is NZ9 that we're looking at here. looks great. A lot more detail in the fur, just sharper.
And a little bump in brightness.
And yeah, if you look at the badge on his collar there, it's really, it's the NZ9 too. This is just straight out of the box settings too, so it's a little pinker, a little more magenta. The highlights in the badge of his collar aren't as bright.
Yeah, and you can see more depth too, guys.
Yeah,
I'm noticing,
more
like,
contrast in the
yeah,
background.
you can really see further into the depth of his badge. But then it really sharpens up and you can see more depth and detail on the 900. Look at that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's contrast.
The texture
yeah, the
on
texture.
his nose even, really soft, kind of subtle on the NZ9. And then look how like,
yeah, you can
looks
like,
rough. Like
you
it
can
looks like
see,
a dog's nose.
you're right. Yeah, you're getting that, and that's the black level enhancement. It's really notable in his nose.
Yeah, all right. So again, this is animated, but this is the NZ900. It's bright, it's crisp, looks good.
NZ9.
Just, yeah, a little softer.
Yeah.
A touch of the, it's not really warmer, but it's a little more.
I think what's really standing out to me, Kellen,
magenta.
is just the depth. Like you can just see a little bit further into the picture.
Yeah.
And
But it looks like that paw print on the side of the ship is like an actual, it's sticking off the surface, without a doubt. Is the NZ9 a bad image? No.
No.
I mean, right now for, what is it, $5,000-$6,000 off the retail price?
yeah.
Is the NZ900 $6,000 better than the NZ9? Probably not, but this is being discontinued. So I think right now, if you're looking for a projector upgrade, you can grab an NZ9. I mean, if you want,
definitely
better.
Yeah.
It's definitely better.
I liked your reference in the intro about the iPhone upgrade.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
is
a better projector for sure.
This is a prime example.
Same price, same asking price on the retail when it first came out, and it's a better projector. Not a night and day difference, but a notable difference.
Well, again, I mean, all these performance bumps are about 30%,
Yeah.
25, 30%. But I'm surprised we can see it. Like, it's notable. So we're gonna move on to another scene. We have a 7.2.4 Focal 1000 series already installed, looking
JVC
good.
projector.
The new JVC NZ900 in the house. Absolutely stunning 8K picture. We've got our subs hooked up. We're kind of to the point to where we're getting close to enjoying this system. This is going to be a quick unboxing on the Strong FS Series rack. This is a Dream Media top pick here, guys. We absolutely love this thing. I've been using this exact rack now for about a decade. A lot of these in the field. I'm actually gonna pass it off to Kellen. Kellen's our national sales director, and he's probably sold about 10,000 of these.
Maybe not 10,000.
a lot of units. So he knows this thing in and out, and we'll kind of open it up and show you what's going on, as well as you can head over to our YouTube, subscribe, and see the full installation video on this beautiful project here in Nashville. Key things that I love, number one, it comes fully assembled, guys. Nothing is worse than, like, you know, we've been here for a full 15-hour day yesterday.
Yep.
Something like that. Today, we're coming back to hook everything up. I would hate to spend 4 or 5 hours assembling a rack right now. Not fun. A lot of the cheaper racks that you're gonna see, although the cost is lower, what you find is you make up for it in time spent. With these, what you see right now, guys, it literally ships to the door just like this. Install time, you're saving big money there. Number 2 is the fact that everything you need to get started is already included. We got nice fans put in the top for ventilation. It's extremely important whenever you're running your audio video equipment that you ventilate it, keeping it nice and cool. Can't tell you how many times we see AVRs just smashed into a cabinet and they overheat and burn up. We want your components, all of your devices in your home, to last as long as possible. Here at Dream Media, we sell things like, you know, fan kits as well as surge protection. I really like the fact that all panels are included all the way around. It's fully enclosed and it has this beautiful glass door on it. Kellen's gonna demonstrate it for you in just a moment. It has shelves included. Of course, you may need specialty shelves depending on the components that you're putting in. But in addition to that, it also has these really nice wheels and casters built into the bottom that you can lock, and it just makes it really super easy to service.
So as Zach stated, you know, this is pretty much an all-in-one solution. We did go ahead and take the box off of this unit to help carry it up the stairs. But essentially what you see is how it arrives fully put together. Really all you have to do is tear off the cardboard. There's some punch out panels along the top and along the back there. The sides and the rear panels have latches, so they are removable.
See how easy that access is, guys, when you're dressing your cables and stuff. Sometimes it's easier just to take all the panels off, which, you know, we're about to start installing it, Kellen, so maybe you just pop all the side panels off so we can take a close look at this thing. So all those panels pop right off. You can see on the back, there is a hole at the bottom of that back panel. You wanna bring all your wiring in through that bottom hole at the bottom of the rack, or you can do the punch out right here at the top.
It's on casters, that's why you're able to maneuver it pretty easily. The front two are lockable, so if you want to slide this back into a space with proper ventilation, you can lock it into place if you'd like. Again, the front door here is also removable. There's different sizes of this rack. There's the 15U, the 21U, the 27, the 32, and the 45. Most equipment will have, from the manufacturer, how tall they list it in units. There's rack mounting hardware for that stuff. Rack mountable items will have how tall they're listed, and then you can basically add everything up. We can do that work for you as well. If you're consulting with us and building a unit, we will specifically kind of map out, you know, how much ventilation you need in between spots, you know, the surge protection that goes in there, network switches, the whole shebang. This is the 21U, so it does come with 3 2U shelves. These will hold about 30 to 35 pounds each. If you have heavier equipment, you know, large amplifiers, processors, heavy equipment, always try to source from the manufacturer. If you're buying it from us, we'll also, you know, track down the manufacturer's rack mounting hardware for those units, and or getting shelves that are adequate to hold that weight. So some of them have rear mounting points to help hold the weight. This one doesn't go all the way back, but some of the shelves that hold the heavier weights will extend further back or have extensions, rails, supports that go front to back to help hold the weight.
Right here, this is Kaleidoscape. This is our best-selling #1 in the industry movie player for lossless reference level audio video that's going to be absolutely next level for our higher end home theaters to ensure that they're not relying on streaming. You can see we have this rack mount kit on it to where it can just bolt right in. All of this stuff's custom, guys, so we can really make that rack look absolutely stunning. Back here, guys, is our surge protector that we're going to be mounting inside of the unit. So as you can see, it's got a little digital readout of our line voltage. This actually is just like the face plate. It'll give you a voltage readout with current meters, dual USB charging, and it has an AC outlet on it, as well as the power cord for RJ45. And you're gonna take the RJ45 connection to this unit over here. This is a Wattbox 600. It's a 10 outlet, 5,400 joules is how power filtration, surge protection is gauged. That's basically how much it can handle if your house gets hit by lightning. What's great about these surge protectors is they have guarantees built in. So like if anything happens to your equipment and it's connected to this unit, Wattbox will replace that equipment. 2 filters, 12 volt, 2 coax, and Ethernet. You guys check it out. Nice little surge protector. We're gonna put all of our components right into this thing. And then we're gonna take our display link right here, our J45 and power out to our faceplate, which is gonna live on the front of the unit. So these will actually be moved to the front to make everything aesthetically look nice. And this unit here will end up being bolted like this. So then what we can do is make all our connections nice and easy. All right, guys, now I'm over here in the Rex home. Although this looks like an attic, it's actually completely insulated with this spray foam. It is gonna be climate controlled. That's really important to notate. You don't wanna go putting your rack into an attic. Right over here, we have all of the home's wiring. There's a bunch of different zones. We got Cat 6 ran throughout the entire home for data, as well as access points. Every TV location gets cat cables, 2 cat cables and a coax on our builds here at Dream Media. Then there's speaker wires going to all the different locations throughout the home. In addition to, we have a 7.2.4 Atmos theater wired right over here. Without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and start bolting stuff in. All right, guys, so just based off of the way that the wiring is coming in and the length of the run that I have, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this top punch out right here and bring my wires in right up the top. And these vents right here that are on the back, I'm gonna move them to the front. All right, guys, just wanted to give you an update on how this rack build's coming along. As you can see, we reconnected our modem up here and the customer-owned router. Got our Marantz AVR installed here. We got our surge protector here and our faceplate installed, Kaleidoscape, Sonos amp, an Apple TV, and then we're gonna put in a Blu-ray and a PS5 as well down here. I put all of the networking cables for the house right here because the networking guy is gonna come behind us and terminate all those and put in the switch.
So yeah, we got all the speakers toned out. We've got them all labeled. We've got these amazing speaker snaps on our lines. So now we're just loosely roughing them in. We're gonna come back and completely dress the rack once the network guys are in and out of here. We'll make this thing look a lot neater and nicer, but for now, we're just gonna go ahead, cut everything roughly to length, get everything plugged in.
This is kind of a multi-phase project. Obviously, we've been kind of overseeing it for about a year now to the construction phase. Now we're to the point of our initial installation, and we'll have to come back to do the seating once the carpet's been replaced. He's doing new carpeting, as well as once all the networking is put in.
All right, guys, so we are in here now. We have the customer still moving in a little bit, but the movie room is set up, it is functional, it sounds and it looks great. So check this out. So this is the full Focal 1000 series theater running Kaleidoscape, controlling everything with Ava, but this room is so nice. We have some navy, some wood accents here. These are the acoustic panels that are over the speaker. We have the speaker behind here. It looks great. Customer's gonna leave the grills off because he likes to look at the speakers. They look great. Check this out, we have a 135 Polar Star screen from EPV. It's gonna be similar to the quality of the Screen Innovation Slate. It is an ambient light rejecting screen because the customer wanted to, have the flexibility to leave some lights on. This room is absolutely gorgeous. We have JVC projector in the little quasi hush box up there. We have some casual seating from Lovesac up front, and we have some traditional theater seating in the back, different shades of navy and grays, and this wooden accent color is absolutely stunning. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the lights off, turn the lights back up to 50%. And this is how he's gonna watch it 99% of the time. But very happy with the room. Sounds great, got everything dialed in. We have the SVS subwoofers rocking. This is just a really great room. We have the Marantz SR8015 receiver powering everything. Customer is extremely happy. It's a really nice place to come hang out, watch some golf, watch some sports, and obviously kick back and watch an awesome movie. That's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you guys like this content, be sure to give us a big thumbs up. We have more theaters and build outs and installs going on. If you guys are interested in buying any of the equipment, if you have questions, we are here to help. We love chatting on the phone with folks, really diving into their rooms, their systems, and really, helping them determine how they should spend their hard-earned money and really help manage their budget wisely and maximize that performance. You don't have to spend a lot to get a great experience. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. We have free consultations. That's gonna wrap it up for today's video. Again, this is Kellen out here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. We'll catch you in the next video.